Hey, good afternoon. Neil here. End of week wrap up. And what a week it has been, my goodness. For the move here, we've gotten quite the break. Obviously, we've been talking about it for last maybe couple of weeks. Well, few. We were one looking, higher into that around about date of the break. And then since then, it has been breaking. Today, we got a couple of things, honestly. One, we got target because we were talking 5,700 down here, and we used it. Yeah, so 5,700. Um, at the same time, though, there were the equivalent that is an end of quarter settle in the ES here was also occurring in the Dow and the Nasdaq simultaneously. In addition to that, I think this thing was pretty oversold, and then Powell came in and spoke, and this thing bounces like 100. So now, what I've done just now, what I've done with this bounce, and this looks to be in excess on the low down here, is snapped fibs from the top of the move to the bottom. You see that today's high is a 236 of the break, and so here's what we're going to look for next week. One, answer this: does it, and it looks like it will, breach the top here of today and trigger this thing back to the long side for targets 58.40, of course, but actually I think that'll be 58.60, honestly. 58.40 is the level that we were targeting on the way down, and if below that, then 5,700. We went through that last week. Now what's happened since then is we've traded the 57s. We ran into, like I just said, simultaneously the same equivalent in the Dow and the Nasdaq, and with that we're getting this bounce. So leading into next week, I'll look for breach top of today, trigger it long. By the way, you don't. The risk is today's low, so that's a big risk. You don't have to take the breach. What you can do is let it breach as though you would already be in triggered, and then let it come back in on these wicks right in here at about 57.40 and pick it up after the breach. You can do that. That's a more conservative play because either way the risk is the low, and what we're looking for would then be up to, I'm just going to go ahead and say 58.60 and 59.20, and we'll see if we can see that through the course of next week, especially not necessarily the beginning of the week, but more toward the middle and the end of next week, because the Stock Traders Almanac for next week has a bullish tendency toward the middle of the week, more so than the middle or the beginning. So we'll be kind of looking, like maybe it triggers and then comes back in and we get it on the middle of the week and then run it up, that kind of thing. So anyway, you've got trigger, risk, entry, and targets T1, T2. That's 58, 60, and 59 quarter. That's it. That's what I'm looking at for right now. I think this is going to do it though. I'm just going to do the one video, for tonight. Still using the euro. Turned out great after some concern. I was really like, I'm not sure. This is starting to just. It wasn't, really responding, taking off terribly well. But then it did, right? 104 was our over under, and it's traded 109. That's not bad, right? So 104 still big, 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 big deal, big line in the sand. We don't want to see it below that. And then the same story on Bitcoin would be just monitor 82,000. So we were, not too long ago, if you remember, not too long ago, we were looking this 80,000 up to about 94.5, and then from there, not to get through there, but yet to hold and knock it back down back towards this 82 is the line in the sand down here. And that was my read, right? That's what I was looking for. Was for breach 92 or 82 on the way down and trade down into the next level, which would be 73. But this is with the ES bouncing and looking for a bounce next week. In the ES, I kind of more anticipate, honestly, that the this thing will hold for a bit. We get into the week of expiration, and Almanac has the markets bearish again, at which point this this would be anticipated to not fare well. But that's after we get through next week, so we have to kind of meet again on this. All right, so don't want to get too far ahead of my skis, but 82K over under here, 104 on the euro, very important. And and then you've got the trigger, the entry, the risk, and the targets on the ES. So with that, let me leave it with you. Good, wish you good trading next week. Hope it helps, and good trading. Take care.